Hey YouTube, this is Diaphone, and today we're going to be doing a comprehensive guide for Vanessa. You know, Vanessa is probably my favorite character in the game. She's just oozes style and super fun to play. She's a character with very good close range and mid-range neutral options, and she has a very strong combo game. If you're interested in a little more technical character, but still accessible, consider picking this character up. This guy will cover, you know, neutral, strategy, combos, pros and cons. Timestamps in the description below. Let's get started. All right, so let's talk about pros and cons. So Vanessa, she has some really good normal buttons, right? Her sweep specifically and her jump CD, these two buttons are probably like best in class. Her sweep is cancelable on the multiple different options, very good. Also, her hit confirms are really strong too. So her 2B reaches really far. And you can literally get 4 of them. I think she's the only character in the game that can do that. And then it goes into 4A, which just gives you all the time in the world to hit confirm. She also has good ways to extend pressure. So if this is blocked, you have a variety of different options to go into. You can dash forward, right? You can dash back and then kind of try to whiff punish something, or dash back and, you know, try to check him like that. So a lot of cool varied pressure options you can do. She also has really strong damage and corner carry with 1 bar. And keep in mind, this is going to be from a crouching B. One bar, 400 damage from a crouch light. That's very good. She also has some decent anti-fireball options. We'll get into that later, but she has a dash and reflecting against fireballs. So some of her cons, she has really poor reversal options. No DP, no invincible command grab, nothing like that. Only thing she really has is a 2-bar super that has invul. And the other thing is, like, she's a character with no fireball or command grab, which most characters usually have one or the other. So it's kind of like she lacks that compared to other characters. She also doesn't have like a cracked out like 5D like some characters can do to control this mid-range space. This is her 5D, but you can see it's kind of laggy, doesn't control most space. Her combination of normals makes her anti-hop game pretty bad. So, you know, this doesn't really check pokes. This sort of checks pokes, but it can also like whiff on crouchers, so it's a little risky to do. She has a 2C, but you can see it's like kind of slow, so you have to kind of resort to stuff like 5A or just your universal options like air to air or roll out of the way. That being said, I think she's still a very well-rounded character and has a lot of different options and tools to fight the opponent. So what position should you play Vanessa? Well, I think she can go anywhere, but because she benefits really strongly from half a bar and 1 bar confirms relative to the rest of the cast, I think she should put her first or second, because she doesn't benefit that much from having max mode compared to some of the cast, because again, her confirms are that good, and she doesn't have like a far cancelable poke or something that you really need to max mode cancel, other than like her overhead, which is pretty good to max mode cancel. So I prefer first or second, but I think there's a good argument for third. Play her where you like when you're first starting out. All right, so let's talk about neutral. Most obvious thing against neutral is like, how do you deal with fireballs? And she actually has a couple good options. She can duck under the fireball, and both options of her command dash, her core circle forward B and D, go under fireballs. Those are like really good pressure extenders, and something like this, while it doesn't punish, it's still like very hard to react to. She also has a fireball reflect, her DP move, so it's the tip range of the C version. You can get a reflect, which is fireball reflects are always very good in this game. You can also cancel it out. All right, you stop them from doing fireballs, right? So how do you play neutral? Of course, a lot of jump CD. Just hop CDs, just very good with this character. Once they start checking that, you have run forward sweep, cancel that into, you have a couple different cancel options, right? So this is obviously unsafe. They can throw that on reaction. You see the minus frame there, but it's really hard to react to, right? So instead of always canceling into dash, you can cancel into something like this move, but it's very hard to punish, and it also leads into a combo. So it's just very good. That rising upper move is just also really good in neutral too. So while you're doing this stuff, you're doing this, you get them to sit still, or you're trying to like snipe out a jump or something, just let this rip. This version's slow, people can react to it, but this version's not as slow, and you actually get a full combo from it, right? And then you can go into whatever. So the fact that it's virtually safe and it leads into a full combo makes it a very strong option that the opponent has to respect. If the opponent's hopping, you have a few options. 5As, obviously a very good option. If they're doing a jump in this high, Chip guarding and making the jump in whiff is obviously a very good option depending on the space. So you can get a punish, right? So it's all about those KO fundamentals in order to help you anti-air better. Make sure you're using that. You can also have 2C, but like very hard to do on reaction. So I only really 2C on reaction to full hops. And see, even then, it'll sometimes like, yeah, it'll sometimes get beaten out or it'll trade. So you just experiment with it, but mainly getting the hops to whiff and then pressuring with that, right? Whether it's like with a 2L or they're hopping out at this distance, and then you can like just check them with like a sweep. Like that's really good to just check them and then start your pressure off that, right? All right, so let's talk about offense. Obviously, your offense, this is the party starter. Anytime you dash forward, you can start with something like this. That goes in that. So if they block 4A, you are safe. But what options do you have? Well, one thing you can do is you can just do regular duck. And you see how that's only a little bit minus, and then you can kind of press your advantage after that. So another option you can do, if you notice is going to be blocked, you can go into EX duck, and that EX duck's actually plus. And so if they're trying to mash, you can just go into it again, and then you obviously get hit confirmed if that lands. Other options you could do, you could just dash forward, and obviously you see how the guard gauge is like really cranked up. So she doesn't have the best mix-up. You know, she doesn't have like a command grab or like high-low besides this thing, which it's okay. You don't really get much unless you have max mode. Max mode to cancel the first hit, and then you can go into whatever. But if they're being patient, you know, you can really crank up the guard bar. So yeah, you can you can move forward. Either I'll just usually reset pressure with like a 2B, or I'll go for a throw, which in order to do throw, you have to delay it a little bit because they're still in like block stun throw protection. The other option you have is you can just dash back. And then you have a few really good options. My favorite option here is just a hyper hop CD. And then you can start your pressure again. Obviously, don't forget about run up throw. A very strong option too. All right, so let's talk about defense. Not too much to talk about. You do have a invul super. Yeah, but keep in mind you have to use both punches. If you only use the one punch version, it's not invul, so you need 2 bars for that. Definitely not very good compared to the rest of the cast, which usually have meterless or 1 bar reversals. The other thing I want to say is like her throw OS, so like hitting back and throw gives you this, right? And it makes it very easy to hit confirm. So I like to use stance D, and then you know you just hit confirm that in the 4A. The cool thing is that her stance D, her far version, is also cancelable. So if you get something like this also leads into a full combo, even if just the second hit hits. So yeah, her hit confirms can be really strong because of the amount of time you get them off of. Just a couple other notes about her tool set. You know, the way her duck works is she has different follow-ups after it. I don't tend to use them too much because like you can just do a lot of the follow-ups like raw, right? But doing something like sway into this can be good if you don't have charge, because that's essentially the same version as the charge version. Do keep in mind that it's a little bit slower because you have to go into sway first. The only 2 moves that are new to her stances is that when you do a dash and then you either do the B follow-up or the D follow-up. I think these are okay. They lose to crouching normals, so this one will just completely whiff at some ranges against crouch, right? And this is good, but it takes a good amount of time to come out. I mean, they're both pretty good options. The cool thing about them though is that these are both cancelable on block. So you go into this and then you can actually cancel out of that again, and so you can like do really cool pressure strings, like something like this. Obviously not block infinite because they can interrupt, but yeah, she has a lot of cool pressure options with that. Definitely play around with it. I don't like to use it too much because I feel like I get hit out a lot, but it has a lot of potential, you know? All right, so most important thing, combos. So I'm only gonna teach a few combos. If you wanna learn additional combos, there's guides out there. I'll link one down in the description below. Meterless, I recommend doing this combo. Again, everything, I'm going to start with 2L, 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 but, you know, 5C into 4C also works. So meterless, you just go into this move. That move is only really a combo filler. If you mash it, like you just mash the buttons while you're doing the combo, you actually get a little more damage, so make sure you do that. And you get like a safe jump or whatever you want after that. I like to go for safe jumps with her after my combos. So our half bar and 1 bar confirm are pretty similar. So the idea is that after 4A, you go into a charge move. This pops them up. Then you do EX charge. And then you do your command dash forward into the B follow up. This cancels into sway, right? And so you do sway. And then you do the C upper follow up. And then you do your ender of choice. So let's show you what that looks like. And that's her basic bread and butter. This is a second combo you should learn. Pretty much the only combo you need to learn outside of the, meterless and situational confirms. There's a 1 bar variation of this as well. It works from a little further out too. And so you either go into this move or you can go into this move. This move is slightly more optimal, but it's a little harder. And same ender, right? So you might be asking, what if you're mid-screen though? You can't quite do that. There's a few things you can do. You can just end and sweep like that. That's a pretty good option, honestly. And then you can't get a safe jump, but you can run up and do pressure. You can also like go, there's like a lot of cheeky resets you can do too. A lot of them are after her EX dash into the A follow-up. So something like that. It's really cool, really tricky. I still gotta play around with it because you sacrifice a little damage compared to the other route, but it's really good. And I think that's it for the guide. I kept this a little more concise than my other guides for other videos. So let me know how you like this guide. Was it helpful? Was it useful? Anything you want to see or elaborate on? Let me know. I'm gonna be playing this character in tournament and really grinding her out. So if you're interested in this character, consider subscribing to my YouTube. And I also have my Twitch and Twitter down in the description below. Consider checking that out as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.